Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about a really it's a tough subject, but it's a subject I really want to discuss. It's something that I went through long time ago, man, many moons ago. But I dealt with a ton of depression, and my outlet for depression, it was relationships and it was drugs. My drug use got so bad that I intravenously started using drugs. And today we're going to talk about what speedballing is like. So speedballing is when you mix a downer, right? Something like an opioid, an opiate, and you mix it with an upper. Something like cocaine is typically used, and sometimes meth is even used. I've done it both ways. I was introduced to doing it in Mexico. I lived in San Diego, so I would just cross the border, and what typically happened was they had these little shops, and they almost look like, if you can picture candy shops, you know, like candy shops that sell, you know, Mexican candy and little trinkets, like kind of like a like an arbitrary sort of entrance. Like you look at it and it's like what's the purpose of this? And the purpose, of course, is that behind, you know, the door in the back, they're selling illicit drugs, and they're doing it all day, every day, and they're doing it mostly towards, mostly with Americans that were crossing the border. I didn't really see many people from Tijuana. There was mostly Americans, to be honest. But I remember, and this isn't like a normal sort of thing to do. I mean, you don't get into this unless, shit, I mean, even if you're Motley Crue, I mean, you know, the only one who was shooting up heroin and cocaine at the same time was, you know, really like Nikki Sixx. And Nikki Sixx, if you know his story, it was just, he was dealing with a ton of depression. And it's the same with me. It's not a normal sort of behavior, you know, to take such big risks, to feel such a big rush. It means that you're really lacking in some other area. So what does it feel like? Well, heroin is just kind of like a big endorphin rush. It almost feels like sex, almost like amplified. It feels very warm. It's like a moment, and then everything just feels better. And also psychologically, you feel safe. You feel really safe too. So it plays on that system as well. Not just on your opioid receptors. So cocaine, first of all, cocaine is a very dangerous sort of drug. People think like, oh yeah, I can just do a line. No, you can do a line and you can die, because what happens when you do cocaine is it puts your body into like a fight or flight, right? So basically the blood starts moving through the capillaries, and there's like this webbing, right, that pumps the blood like this. So with cocaine, that's really amplified. So like a lot of like the webbings are working extra hard like this to pump blood, and what can happen is it can snap. So if it snaps, that's how people go into cardiac arrest, and that can happen from doing one line of cocaine. Not to mention, cocaine is cut with a bunch of different stuff. Now you can only imagine how dangerous it is to shoot it, let alone shooting it while mixing it with a downer. There's a term, I think it's called synergistic, but basically with the two opposites, you can basically make your heart explode. So I remember this was kind of at the tail end of my drug use period for that time, and I would mix it up all together, you know, in like a little spoon, in a metal spoon. I'd mix it up all together. I'd withdraw it. I'd shoot it up, and it was the warm feeling that I get just from the opioid, you know, the feeling, plus like a massive adrenaline rush at the same time. I mean, it's so intoxicating. It's like, the only other thing I can relate to it is some sort of deep state of conscious meditation, which I'll get into later. But people that are doing this to escape something, because a healthy person isn't going to want to stick a needle in his arm. They're going to naturally feel like healthy, and it's, you know, for me to even like contemplate doing something like that at this point, to be honest, I mean, to think about it, it's really almost it's like tempting. Even now, it's like I would never fucking do that again. Like, I have so much time. It would never occur to me to stick a needle in my arm. But just thinking about how good it feels from a pleasure standpoint, I mean, it's very intriguing. And this is where a lot of addicts actually die once they have recovered. Maybe something goes wrong in their life and they decide to maybe shoot up one more time. And whenever you're shooting up anything intravenously, it's super dangerous. And if you have no tolerance, like if you have like a year of sobriety, or if you're like me and you have a lot of, I don't even know, maybe 10 years of sobriety without sticking something in your veins, and you do that, like the littlest amount will fucking kill you. So don't think that it won't. And I've told you, maybe in another video, I had a video on heroin if you watched it, but I had a friend, this exact same thing happened. He was in dentistry school, he had recovered, he had a year of sobriety, and just like boom, he started shooting up again. And I think on like the third time or something, it was like within a matter of days, he just like was out. Shooting up cocaine and heroin, it's like majorly addictive. It's better than heroin because it's better than just shooting up heroin, because it provides an extra level of excitement, and it doesn't last that long, but like it's, you know, a good 20 minutes of being on top of the world, being invincible. You could do anything. All of your childhood traumas are like done. Like they don't matter. Nothing matters. You can accomplish anything, and you have the energy to. Man, I suffered so bad from doing that to myself. So bad. I have I don't know if you can see that. You can see that. So this happened when I was shooting up actually heroin and cocaine. That hole, you can see that, right? I missed a vein. My arm swelled up like a big fucking ball. My arm swelled up like big time. I mean, I couldn't move my arm, and that was the consequence of it. I have this scar here now. It's never gonna go away. So I'm so sad that we go to such lengths, that we don't know how to feel, and like this ends up happening. It's very prevalent. And you know, it's not enough just to get clean. It's not enough just to do some cognitive behavioral therapy. We need more measures for mental health that I'm going to get into later. The next day off of from doing that. Like what usually would happen with me is I would get, maximum like an 8 ball or something of cocaine, and like I don't even remember, maybe like 2 grams of black tar heroin, and that would be like one run. That would last me, I don't know, like multiple days, like 3.5 days. And then there'd be like a come down day, like where I would just like sleep. And then the next day I would start going into like massive withdrawals. I'd feel very sick. I would definitely be awake, and I would be like itching, my joints would hurt. I would start getting feverish. I'd be very dehydrated from doing from doing this, especially the cocaine. You get very dehydrated from doing the cocaine, I think. And this didn't last. This only lasted for a few months, because I think that I would have definitely been dead. I mean, I had times where, I remember one time specifically, for some reason, I'd like to do this in the bathroom. I'd like to just shoot up in the bathroom and just look in the mirror. It was, and I remember one time my lips turned completely purple, and I could feel so much oxygen deprivation, like I was like choking, and it felt good. It felt really, really good. And just like the closer I got to death, it was like intoxicating. The whole thing. There was a time when I shot up with, I think it was something other than water. It might have been Gatorade or something. There was a time when I shared a needle. And it's all because I didn't love myself. And it's all because I blamed everything on my father, who I didn't think loved me. That was the whole reason for me self-sabotaging in general, and really, that is why I'm talking to you today. I feel a lot of emotion just talking about this again. It's just so far gone, I don't talk about it, but just talking about it makes me, I feel so much sadness in my heart that I would hurt myself, that I would ever do something like that. And it just really was a lack of understanding of my own true nature, and really just like the nature of humanity. But I have so much compassion to people dealing with addiction, and I have so much compassion to people because I understand the human condition so completely, and I have so much compassion for it, and especially for the children just growing up when they really count on the parents. They don't know any better. So children are really subject to the thoughts and ideas and prerequisites and ideologies of the parents, of the markets, of advertising, of the government, of school. We're subject to all of this. And like, it's not like anybody told me like, hey, this is a state of humanity right now. What kind of life do you want to live? Because I think that from a young age, I would have been really more caring of myself. It's just, we're born and we're just like this player, and like we're inputted with information and we think things should be one way or another. I mean, I saw fathers that would hug their sons, and that would send me into deep spiral depressions. And I thought that sticking needles in my arm would make my father love me. And when my father, it didn't affect him that I was sticking needles in my arm, I stuck more needles in my arm with more and more heroin. And I'm not making this in order for anybody to feel bad about me. In fact, I'm all for taking complete responsibility and understanding humanity, having compassion towards humanity. If you don't have compassion towards a whole, you can never have compassion towards yourself. And if you learn compassion to yourself, you will learn compassion to everything externally. I am really lucky to be here. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor from intravenous illicit drug use. I've shot up meth in my arms. Meth, it stings. I remember it stinging, and it's 0 to 100. I mean, it's 0 to 100. It's more pronounced than shooting up cocaine. I've done that with heroin. I've had times when I've been living on, just staying over in the grittiest places. Like, I ended up in this older porn director's house. He didn't shoot porn anymore. Somebody I met when I was shooting up heroin in Mexico, like just in one of these little storefronts, just I made friends with him, and I went over to this house, and I ended up staying there for weeks. And it was just like, just this house that they used to shoot porn in, and it was just like 7 junkies, 7 people, and all we lived for was shooting up heroin. That's all it was about. I ended up in many situations like that. Thanks a lot for listening. I really, I feel a heaviness in my heart. I feel such a heaviness in my heart. Thank you a lot for listening. I have other stories about recovery and just other stories and other drugs. And thank you guys for listening. I call myself Hillel Siddhartha, aka Baby Cappuccino. If you appreciate my content, if you could please like, subscribe, and hit the bell, that would be great. I just want to send a message of love to the world, so that's why I'm doing this. This is what I want to do. So, and I think that part of that is to talk about my life and talk about like the difficult parts. I didn't really think that I would be doing this, but I realized how important it is, and just putting myself back to when I was doing that. It's just so many like millenniums ago to me at this point, where it's like I don't even think about it, but I realize it's like literally some of the most important information that I could possibly share with you. The fact that I was so self-harming to myself, that I have stuck needles in my arm filled with fucking God knows what, and I've had multiple people around me just die from it. I hope you guys have a really beautiful day. Thank you so much.